Well, hello, and welcome to The Difference Makers. I am your host, Jacqueline Grant. It's great to be here yet again for our next episode to share with you those who are making a difference in the world with the talents, gifts, and abilities that they have, whether it's for their job or for their business. We have a very special guest who is going to share with you about work-life balance and how they do their business and maintain a healthy lifestyle. And I'm sure you'll want to stay tuned for the tips that they have to share. Our special guest is Joe Baptiste, and he is going to share with us his golden nuggets for success. He's had a stellar career, but as I was preparing for his interview today, I started to think back again, well, how this show got started. How we got started with The Difference Makers is because I looked back in my career and I've worked with a number of professionals who have shared people who have made a difference in their careers and have got them to where they want to be and where they are in their careers now, and helping them to set goals for where they want to be in the future because of the difference one person made in their lives. And sometimes it's more than one, but they can always think back to a particular person, a particular circumstance, a particular event that made a difference. I spoke to someone just yesterday, and the conversation was great, but they said one thing that stuck with me. They said that they were inspired by someone who told them to make each day count. And we've all heard that before, but they put it in a slightly different perspective. They put it in the perspective of, how many days do you have left, and making the most of those days? And when you have an actual number, and granted, we never know our last day, we never know the final day that we might have, but on average, the lifespan of let's say a healthy person living in, let's say, the United States, we know what the average lifespan is, the average range. So if you take that average based on your health and your lifestyle and so forth, if you take that average age range and you count from where you are now to that age and calculate how many days you have, that puts things in perspective. So I hope that little point makes a difference for you, because it made a difference for me when I really thought about how many days I actually might have left. And it made me think about making the most of every single day. And that was part of the inspiration of me sharing that with you, because I thought about what made me create this show for you, The Difference Makers. I wanted to bring to the virtual platform those who are making a difference out there every day in the lives of the people that they touch, personally and professionally, and to give them the exposure that they deserve to let the world know the great things that they're doing and the impact that they're having on the world. So today, I'm going to bring to you Joe Baptiste. We all strive to have work-life balance, especially these days when we may be working from home, juggling homeschooling with kids, doing our jobs from home, managing family, and all the other things that are on our plates. Let's now hear about Joe Baptiste. Let me give him an introduction. Joe is a professional speaker, sales maven, and consultant who works with individuals, civic groups, corporations, schools, and organizations to deliver high-level, humorous presentations. He earned his bachelor's degree and he was cum laude from Grinnell University and has received numerous awards as a professional salesperson. Now, let me just pause here. Whether you are in sales officially or unofficially, I just want to acknowledge the fact that we are all salespersons. We are selling ourselves every single day. We are showcasing our skills, talents, and abilities. And if you've ever been on a job interview, you've been selling yourself. And we are selling ourselves and promoting our gifts, talents, and abilities. And Joe is expert at that. So he is empathetic about personal and professional development. And he uses real life examples to show how individuals and teams can use their unique talents and abilities to impact people, culture, and business. So please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Joe Baptiste. Welcome, Joe. It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm extremely excited to be with you. You're doing amazing things out here in the community, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And so thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so very much. Now, one of the things that we talked about is how we originally met. And if you know me out there in LinkedIn world, I am a big LinkedIn proponent as far as being able to network anywhere you are, everywhere you are, and meet people all around the country, all around the world that especially now, you may not be able to or may not have met physically in person. So Joe, would you tell us very briefly how we originally met?
I'll be happy to do that. Several years back, it was a 6 a.m. flight from Las Vegas. There was a convention going on out in Las Vegas. So from Las Vegas back to the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my unique experience and privilege to meet Jacqueline. Jacqueline is always networking, always meeting people and just have a demeanor about yourself that's open and welcoming. And even at a 6 a.m. flight, you can have a glow even on an Airbus. So that's how it all came about with Jacqueline and myself. And ever since then, we've built on this professional relationship through LinkedIn, through communicating and responding back and forth to messages and conversations, and being supportive and being a part of the network, which has been extremely beneficial for me personally. And so I get a lot out of it, and I actually feed off of you, Jacqueline, because I'm gonna tell you, I out here in the community, there are certain people that you just latch on to in the business world, and you look forward to seeing their advertisements, their articles, and you're one of those people for me. I can say that personally. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. I am nothing without those who I serve. So I thank you so very much for your interest and your support, because it's just truly important for me to be able to empower people to be all that they want to be and do all that they can do. And you're doing that. And I just want to bring you to the platform and share you with everyone so that they can see what you're doing and to be inspired and just see how they can maybe take some nuggets that you might do and apply it to their own careers or their own lives. So let's get started. So tell me, Joe, what makes you a difference maker?
Happy to do that, Jacqueline. And by the way, you never know who you're impacting. You may not get, I say you, me, your viewers, people in the community. You never know who you may be impacting. So we do touch people without ever even hearing from those people. So you're doing great out here in the community. So what makes Joe a difference maker? Well, for starters, I consistently deliver exceptional service without excuses. I'm passionate about delivering value across the board in my business endeavors. I harness a can-do attitude, and I'm relentless when seeking solutions to problems, personally and professionally. And I refuse to be a caretaker in the marketplace. I just refuse to do it. So some of those things are what makes me a difference maker. And obviously, I have to think about others before myself.
Wow. Well, that was short, sweet, and to the point, and very impactful. That what you just shared makes me feel that you made some hardcore decisions probably earlier in your career or early in your life, that this was the stance you were going to make and you were going to stick to that no matter what. Is that a fair statement?
Well, yes. I initially, I was caught up in I don't want to say the rat race or the what's the word I'm looking for here, about group thinking in the workplace. Mm-hmm. Because for me personally, I was not the person I am today. I've evolved over time in my industry and my personal career. So, initially I was your wanted to go to work, get it done, and get out. But as I started progress in my personal and professional development, I had more of a caring feelings for my clients, for individuals. It wasn't just make the paycheck. I really, some altruism was there, to want to give. But obviously we have to make a paycheck. But I started taking more pride in myself and in my career, and so I wanted to look for ways to become better at Joe Baptiste and being a good steward in the community as a whole. So that progressed over time for me, and And the reward has been when I either put a smile on the client's face or I've delivered more than what was expected. And so those things impacted me, and I wanted to get better at becoming that kind of person. So I wanted to be solution driven, results driven, irregardless of now I've been in commission sales. So irregardless, it got to a point as it has become to where regardless of the paycheck, I had, and maybe, other people can identify with this, but my reward has become more not per se the paycheck. Of course, we need to make money, but the good that I've done in that relationship and finding solutions for others. Because oftentimes you have to help, at least in my industry, you have to help them think through the process and get to the end result. It just takes some thinking outside the box. It takes some creativity. It takes going back to stepping away from the sales process and reevaluating, and then looking at the account and finding out, how can we better this account? How can it create a win-win for the other, for the company and for the clients? And so those are some of the things that give me reward and has changed me personally. And I feed off of it. I really do. I feed off.
Sure, I'm sure you do. You mentioned that your self-development has evolved over time, as it does for all of us. No one of us starts off perfect, and we never end up perfect either, but we are hopefully better than we were yesterday, and we still have goals to be better than we are today. But when it comes to building your reputation, how has that impacted how you are seen in your work world or in your personal life?
Great question. Thank you for asking, Jacqueline. It has impacted me tremendously because initially, now things have seemed in corporate America, things have seemed to, maybe you can identify with this. Oftentimes, people don't want to pick up the phone anymore. It's hard to get people on the phone in business. So I'm going to back up here for a second. So initially, if you can't, for example, my last client, if you can't get someone on the phone and share with them your business model, your thoughts, your ideas, and how you can make it happen, well, you can have all the ideas and you can be the best person in the world to be a good communicator, effective. But if they don't want to talk to you, you know what I mean? If they want just email, which is where things seem to be going, you're not going to get through. It's not the same impact. So I guess to get back to your question, I went from having limited phone conversations. I was going back I'm going to go back about 3 years on this one particular client. Limited phone conversations because they didn't want to talk to the company for whatever reason. It's just email me and I'll get back to you. Email me and I'll get back to you. So I like to talk to people. So I created a strategy how I could get to the decision maker at the companies during this process, because, well, thank you for asking.
Secrets with us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to share these nuggets. So no one wanted to, but I'm thinking about a specific account, and there were several of them, but they didn't want to pick up the phone. They wanted you to email us, and we'll look at the information. We'll get back to you. So to be quite candid with you, when I make the call, I started with the person who answered the phone. The person who answered the phone. It wasn't a decision maker. It was a gatekeeper. A person who didn't want to see you get to the decision maker. So that person that answered the phone was traditionally receptionist, office staff, et cetera, that kind of individual. So what I did was, if I discovered that I bridge built, and hopefully they had if I discovered some angst, some anxiety in their voice, it was troublesome because, okay, this person not having a good day, et cetera, et cetera. So if I discovered they were short with me, I wanted to be brief, trying to pass along some positive conversation, get off the phone, but I would get the contact information because I always wanted to advance the process with each account for the next encounter. So I would get the information I needed for the decision maker and that person. So I would put this in my rotation, some individuals would speak to me longer than others. For example, there's the short way to create dialogue and build rapport is an acronym called FORM: family, occupation, recreation, marital status. Hey, hey, how's everything going for yourself and your family? Pretty good, Joe. Thanks so much. I know today's a Monday. Hopefully your work day's going well. And you'll have one down, 4 to go. If you can get this process through, and then recreation. What do you like to do for outside of the work environment? So that's kind of what I used through the process. So I would put these clients in my rotation, Jacqueline, and then I would not bug them regularly. So I'd put them in my rotation through the CRM tool, which is a client relations management tool. I'd put them in a rotation. I'd put a date to reach back out. I would make copious notes on who I spoke with. I spoke with Jacqueline today, and then Jacqueline's the phone receptionist, whatever. But then what I would do is, and this works, I promise you. Then what I would do is I would send out Starbucks cards to the clients, $5 Starbucks cards, because these were challenged accounts. They didn't want any more interaction with the company. They were not happy. We're losing market share with this client. So I would send out Starbucks cards to not overlooking Jacqueline, the receptionist, the lady who gave me a few minutes of her time that day, the lady who had a lot going on, phones ringing, other people tugging at her, et cetera, et cetera. But I would send her a Starbucks card as well. Jacqueline, thanks so much for speaking with me on March 25, 2021. Now, I remember it was raining that day here over in the ATL. I hope there's sunshine in your world today. Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, and I would do this on the weekend. Now, I wouldn't do this during the workday. I would do this. I would take about 50 to 75 Starbucks cards, and I would do this on the weekend to take care of my clients. So I'll put that in a rotation. I don't want to be long-winded here, but you put that in a rotation, and then these cards are hitting them. Now I would time it. So I talked to you on Monday. I didn't want you to get that Starbucks card on Tuesday or Wednesday. I wanted you to get that subtle one-way dialogue from Joe Baptiste around Thursday, towards the end of your week. So that would reference you back to, oh yeah, I remember I spoke to Joe. Mel sent me a Starbucks card. Whatever I was on, and the impression was on their mind, so be it. But that's how I would start the rotation, and so that would foster goodwill for my next conversation. Now, so what it would do was the next time I called Jacqueline, which was not going to be next week. I'm not calling you, hi Jacqueline, because I sent you a Starbucks card on Thursday. Did you get it? This is Joe. Today's Monday. I was at coffee. Can you give me a little more conversation today? No. About 3 weeks later, I would reach out, and hopefully Jacqueline would still remember Joe Baptiste, and she'd say, "Oh, Joe, thanks for the Starbucks card." Tom or Susie, she's in the office today. Maybe I can get you a couple minutes.
Wow.
Or today's not a good day, Joe. She's been in meetings all day. And she's leaving at 2:00 to get a dental appointment.
Wow, that sounds like a great strategy, Joe. And that was a tremendous nugget that I hope our audience picked up on how they can, what I call, plant seeds. Because when you plant seeds, they will grow. And when you plant those golden nuggets, those seeds of being helpful, acknowledging the person, it's a tremendous seed that does grow and gives you that reciprocity eventually. It's not necessarily immediate, but over time, it does develop that reciprocity where you do something nice for someone, not always, but most of the time they will want to do something nice for you as well. And you don't necessarily do it to get something, but you do it out of sincerity. Like paying a compliment, you pay a compliment that's a sincere compliment, not something that is insincere or that you don't really mean, because it will show and it will come across when it's not sincere. However, you came up with a great strategy to share with our audience, and we want to also hear about how you now incorporate your health perspective into your business strategy. But I'm going to give you a moment to think about that. I'm going to take you backstage for just a moment, and I'm going to share a bit with our audience and give you a moment to think about that. And when we come back, we will be with Joe Baptiste telling us about how he does work-life balance with his strategies for success. But I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, Linda, for being with us. Linda, thank you so much. It's great to have you here, and the comments that you're making, we really appreciate it. And everyone else who's joining us on LinkedIn Live, who's joining us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as YouTube. My name is Jacqueline Grant. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And this is The Difference Makers. We're here making a difference, and we want to share those who are making a difference in your life, in your world, in your sphere of influence. It's important to be able to acknowledge them, no matter how big or how small, to let them know that what they do makes a difference, and to help them to do it even more. So again, my name is Jacqueline Grant. We're here every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon, high noon Eastern time, every Thursday on LinkedIn Live, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So we're joining back now with Joe Baptiste, and he is sharing with us now how to actually have that work-life balance we all so much desire.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Well, so a short version, this isn't an inside job for all of us, right? When it comes to our health and wanting to be healthy. I mean, we may want it, but people find it's surprisingly how people find every excuse on the why to not get to it. You know, be it walking, be it reading also, because reading to the mind is what exercise is to the body. So remember that. You also got to get some reading in.
Okay.
So, but some of the key things that I did for myself was, again, this is over time, but can you see that? Do you want the cookie?
Oh, that's speaking my language.
Or do you want the apple? Which one do you want for a snack, right? Do you want the orange? Do you want an orange? You know, so it's eating. Eating has played a role for me. For example, midday in the work environment. Okay, midday in the work environment. And you're going to lunch. Now, do you want to go out to lunch and have all the fast food, all the trans fats? And I'm not knocking fast food. I'm not knocking anyone for their eating habits. Please, this is just some of the tips that help me come back more driven for the second half, so to speak. So I knew that I needed to get out of my surroundings for that hour that I was on lunch. Why stay there and get around the water cooler or go into the break room? And I'm not knocking anyone, please. Anyone who does that, don't be offended. But I didn't want to be in that environment. I needed that hour to go reset and recharge, to come back for the second half and deliver on the rest of my day, because my day's not over at lunchtime. I'm not coming back with saying, oh my goodness, it's almost over, I want to get out of here. No. I'm coming back to do business because I want to make an impact. I want to still be impressionable, not to the rest of the clients, but while I'm on the clock, I need to deliver from my employer. So, answer your question, I leave the building, I get out, and I get me some psychological sunshine. Now, if it's raining or what have you, that's different. But when the weather's inviting, I get out and I go outside the building, psychological sunshine, some fresh air, taking the rays, eat that apple, eat that banana, eat that orange. See, these are nuts. These are walnuts. These are pumpkin seeds. Eat this type of food that instead of getting that, like I said, that fast food, and then it's going to weigh me down when I come back and be lethargic. No. Joe Baptiste is coming back ready, because the next client I speak with, Jacqueline, they don't know that you're sluggish, and a lot of that's going on in the workplace. A lot of people aren't engaged. So when I communicate with someone, I want to leave them, whether or not I made a sale, whether or not I've advanced the process, but that person I spoke to in the other line, I want to know that I did some good in some capacity as a whole, as an individual. So I don't need the sale. Like you said, you plant the seeds, you water them with opportunity, and then you wait to reap the harvest. In a
Well, I love
nutshell.
your energy so much. If you were to call me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon after supposedly lunch has set in and you're lethargic, and I get on the phone with Joe or I get on a Zoom call with Joe, and you're peppy, you're energetic, I was like, wow, what's he doing? I want to know what he's doing. I want to know how I can be like that. So thank you for sharing those nuggets regarding that psychological sunshine. I love that, the psychological sunshine. But we have a question here from Esther on LinkedIn. Yay, LinkedIn Live. Esther is here with us, and she is asking, Joe, were there any lows during this journey as per being pushed into tight corners while trying to balance these two aspects of your life?
Great question, and thank you, Esther, for asking that question. Absolutely, extremely. That's a very valuable question, Jacqueline. I don't know how much time you're going to give me, but absolutely.
About 2 minutes.
Okay, peer pressure was one of them. Not isolating myself in the workplace was one of them. Changing my eating habits was one of them. I'll give you an example because I believe she's referencing, I don't know if she's referencing in the workplace or at home, but one example was you'd get and I call it group thinking. You'd get your coworker would say, oh man, you don't want to come to lunch with us, or hey, you're going your own direction. You don't want to come to lunch with us. Come on, man, come eat with. So peer pressure. So I would go on rare occasions just so that I could still feel included, and I didn't want, that problem in the workplace. But overall, you know what I mean? Yeah, but overall, and this was up here too, I would go because if I heard it enough, from my supervisor or from one of my good coworkers who has some, sits right next to my desk, I would go because they ask you 2, 3, 4 times, they'll get a little irritated. And they'll become somewhat standoffish process. But so I would go just enough to keep the peace, if you will, But that was not going to outweigh my goal and my objective. Well, it's not a goal if it's not written down. But my objective, which was to be the better version of me when it comes to my responsibilities to Joe Baptiste, my client. Love yourself first. That's the bottom line. I hope I answered the question. Love yourself first. Do what you need to do in the workplace so that you're not an island. And then, it's all part of the strategy as well, to work throughout your coworkers. And even in the household, I got to tell you, even in the household, because family, not just family, but, you may start eating differently. Your diet may change, So even in my household, I eat differently than my wife or my daughter. I don't like salt in my food. I don't like a lot of other ingredients. So I know I have a different portion for myself because I'm changing. I'm becoming a better person every day. Green and growing or ripe and rotting for a lifetime. Age is not a factor.
Wow. Well,
I don't want to talk too much.
That tells me that you are a change maker. You're a difference maker, Joe, in your family as well as in your business world. And when you decide to do something differently, 9 times out of 10, circumstances around you will challenge you to see how committed you are to that decision that you've made. And as you've mentioned about going out to lunch or dinner with your coworkers, I've experienced that as well. And especially during Lent, boy, no one invites me to go to nice restaurants until it's Lent time, But the point I'm making is that you could possibly be that change maker or that difference maker for those around you and slowly influence the majority of those who may not be eating as healthy as they may need to be, but because they see your commitment and they see the changes that they start to see in you. They see it in your energy. They see it in your physical, your physical stance. And they start to say, well, I want some of that. I want to be like Joe and Mike. I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Joe. So I really thank you for sharing your 2 main components of golden nuggets related to business as well as health and marrying the 2 on the difference makers. I really thank you, Joe, for being here and sharing your experiences. And if those would like to know more, you can please contact Joe on joedelivers.com. I love that too, joedelivers.com. You can contact him for more information, more inspiration, and just to see how you two might connect on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you like, whatever is your social media platform of choice. But I want to thank you, Joe, for being here because you make a difference to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline.